In today's podcast, we're going to welcome Amy Stoehr, and she is the owner of the Star Power organization. She also owns the Real Estate Masters Guild, and she has been in real estate since 1992 and brings to us some great tips, great information, some exciting news about what she has going on. And then we're going to talk a little bit about her little foundation and listen to that story because that's pretty impressive. Welcome to the Unstoppable Real Estate Agents Podcast. I'm your host and real estate productivity expert, Kim Hughes. Join me as we focus on real strategies and implement real solutions designed for you to achieve major success in your business and life while getting you organized. So, Amy, I'm just thrilled to death that you were able to join us today, and I am so excited to see what you have to share with our audience. So, kind of give me a little bit of information. Of course, I know who you are, but let's kind of tell everybody your background, what you've got going on in your life today, and what you're planning for the rest of the year.
Well, I'm honored you asked me to be here, Kim. Thank you so much.
Of course.
I'll try to give just a snapshot so I don't bore your viewers.
You got a lot going on.
I got licensed in 92. I was recruited from managing a clothing store at the mall. I had a bachelor's degree in communication. And by the way, folks, you can't get any sort of a job with that. So make your kids reconsider. Anyway, got recruited into real estate by a local Coldwell Banker relocation director. She just asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, actually. That was her question. I went in, the broker, I asked him okay, I'm here. What do I need to do? And he said, shadow my wife. She's the top producer in the office and just do what she does. That was my training. So that introduced me to Kathy Russell, who is just one of the most amazing people I've ever had the good fortune of knowing. And I ended up joining her team. We were together for about 3.5 years. And through her, I met the Star Power organization and the founder, Howard Brinton. And when I decided I was ready to take my next step in life, I called him for fatherly advice. And he ended up giving me a job offer 1,200 miles away. So went to work for Star Power as his personal assistant and the 8th employee in the organization, and ultimately evolved to the executive vice president of the company. In January of 2008, I was laid off. Company got itself in a bit of financial trouble during the recession. And so I had to pull myself up by the bootstraps. And thank God I was a part of Star Power because it taught me that I could start a business. And so that's what I did. Started a coaching business, launched Real Estate Masters Guild out of that. And that is the umbrella that's held my coaching business as well as some live events over the years. And about 2 years ago, Jana Caudill, one of the stars, got tired of listening to her peers lament the loss of Star Power and went and talked to the guy that had bought the rights from Howard Brinton. He was no longer doing anything with it for about a decade. And she bought the rights back from him. I helped her launch the company. And then September of 2022, I actually bought the company from her. So talk about a full circle moment.
Exactly. I mean, for those that are new to real estate and haven't been around a whole lot of time, Star Power was the big deal. The big deal's going to be a big deal again. I was very fortunate to be invited to a Star Power Stars conference by Amy and Howard, gosh, back in 2003. And, I was still just starting, I mean, I started my company in 98. So this was still all new to me. And so it was just an unbelievable opportunity. And to meet Howard, it was just an imprint on my life that I'll never forget, and then you having me come in and then coming back when we went to Denver at Star Power in 2000, I think it was 2008.
Wow.
And that was, yeah. And it's such a tight-knit group of agents who love to share and learn, and it's it's way more than just an organization. I think it's just one big, huge family, you know? So
Sure.
I'm very excited to see where you take that. And so let's talk to the audience about your favorite topic of why you don't call. So let's talk about that. I'm going to let you kind of jump in and just start talking and giving your tips and your advice and what you see is working, what you see that doesn't work, and let's just kind of dive in.
Well, Kim, we both know from working with realtors these many years that we have, um, we know a few things. And thank you for letting me get on my soapbox because this is one of my big hot topics. I've been coaching for 21 years. And the one thing that never goes away is even with the most successful top producing teams, I cannot get on the phone with their past
Mhm.
clients and sphere of influence. And, everybody's always looking for a shiny object or a silver bullet to solve their business woes. Doesn't matter if we're in the seller's market, buyer's market, interest rates are up, or we're in multiple offer situations. That the same thing always applies. The successful long range businesses have a large percentage of their business that comes from their past clients and their sphere of influence. So,
100%.
so then why don't you call? I can't tell you how many times this question enters my head over the course of a week. Why don't you just pick up the phone and call? And that's evolved, by the way. The pick up the phone has evolved, but I want to lay the foundation of why people don't call so that we can address it and give the solutions so that people do start contacting. You can spend a ton of money on internet leads
Mhm.
and their conversion rate, depending on what you read and what type of internet leads they are, is between a half a percent and 3%. The
Mhm.
people in your database, minimum conversion of 10% of that number every year. Transactions just waiting to happen. So
Mhm.
if I had my choice of spending, and I'm not a licensed broker, so I can say the Z word, I can say the curse word. If you're spending 2 grand a month on Zillow leads, if you took a fraction of that 2 grand a month and poured it back into your database, let's say you've got 250 people, there's 25 transactions minimum sitting in there, their business and their referrals, just waiting for you to ask for it. So if
Mhm.
that's the case, if I could spend less money and talk to people who already know me, like me, and trust me, then why don't I call?
Mhm.
So I've boiled it down to three things. There are three reasons
Okay.
that people don't call. Number one, they're not sure who to call, or they don't have good contact information for them. I'll lump that all into one category. The second is they don't know what to say when they do get the person. And the third is just a flat out fear of rejection.
Mhm.
So let's talk about each of those three. Number one, who to call. Well, it's your past clients and your sphere of influence. These are people who already know who you are, so they don't have to be sold on
Mhm.
you. Um, there's an assumption to be made that you genuinely care about these people. So when you do get on the phone with them or reach them one to one, it would be a positive conversation. You're not trying to, way back in the day, there was a product through Star Power called the Principles of Telemarketing. You remember Jim Good?
Mhm.
And he used to
Mhm.
tell this story about cold calling. So you're trying to sell a skateboard. It's a numbers game. First person you talk to, do you want to buy a skateboard? No. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Click next person. Click next person.
Mhm.
You could call that same list of people and you could call I could call you, Kim, 6 times and you would say, no, I don't need to buy a skateboard. On the seventh time, maybe your grandson just came to you and said, Nana, the thing I would love the most in the world is a really fancy skateboard. And then the next day I call and ask you if you want to buy a skateboard, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, this is perfect timing. Maybe God sent you to me. Yes, I need to buy that skateboard. So that is one approach. I'm talking about the complete flip side of that, which is I already know Kim. So
Mhm.
it's easy for me, if you like and I'm just going to diverge for a second. When I say call, I'm talking about one-to-one communication. In today's world, you may prefer I pick up the phone and call you, Kim. You may prefer that I text you. You may direct message me through Facebook. That may be your favorite way of communicating with me. So when I say call, it's reach out and interact with a person in a way that is their preferred method of being contacted. Now, I'm not talking about email. I'm not talking
Mhm.
about blast. I'm not talking about slide dial. I've had people ask me that question. This is a one-to-one, face-to-face counts for call too. So I might come see you at your place of business.
Mhm.
So overcoming the who to call is really simple. I get the question, well, I've got, 3,000 past clients in sphere of influence in my database. I can't possibly call them all. Well, then you have some homework to do. Go through the list and say, who are the most important people in here? And
Mhm.
define most important however you want to. Some people define it by how many referrals they've received from that person or repeat transactions they've had with that person. Um, it could just be, they're in your motorcycle group and you have a great
Yeah.
relationship with them, so you're gonna talk to them more often. But you get your who boiled down to a number you can manage, and I wanna just walk these numbers. So, Kim, let's say you told me you had 500 people in that core group that you wanna be in regular, consistent contact with, and that should generate you a minimum of 50 transactions a year. Well, then let's say you're gonna talk to them once a quarter, so we're gonna take that 500 over a quarter, and I say boil it down to 10 weeks because you're gonna want some time off. I'm a big advocate of scheduling your big rocks. Nobody wants to call all the
Gotta have a
time.
moment.
And so I'm gonna make it real easy for those of you watching. So we've got our 500. We're gonna do them over 10 weeks. That's 50 a week. We're following the math. If I'm doing that 5 days a week, that's 10 a day.
Yep.
Now, you might say, "I don't wanna do it 5 days a week." Great. What do you wanna do? 2 days a week? Then it's 25 on each of those 2 days. Whatever your thing is, but break it down to a daily activity or you're never gonna do it. And
Right.
then, we're only gonna do this manually one time. You gotta lean on your CRM to set up the reminders from there forward. So if I call you today, Kim, you're on list of 10, then I'm gonna go into the CRM and I'm gonna schedule a 90-day recurring reminder for infinity for you so that I never miss
Mhm.
contacting you again. That's an ideal scenario. So figure out who your core people are and get them on a regular schedule of follow-up.
Yep.
So that's reason number 1. We don't have that part figured out. Number 2 is I don't know what to say when I do reach them. Like, I don't wanna be a salesy, I don't wanna bother people, I don't like telemarketers, I these are the
Mhm.
objections I hear, right? So, what if you're simply calling to check in with people?
Mhm.
Here's the easiest script you can use. "Kim, it's Amy over at Star Power. You were on my mind today, and I decided not to let another minute go without reaching out. How are you? What's new
I'm
in your life?"
great. I'm great. But, something that I tell. Yeah, I mean, when you call somebody that you know or you've done business with, then it's a little bit more relaxing. And I always say, if you are that person that's trying to rebuild your database of referrals, because a lot of people don't even keep up with their past clients versus leads, et cetera, they just all get thrown in there. So I always say, separate your past clients and then look and see what information you have on them. And if you're missing a birthday, if you're missing any kind of information, that is an opportunity to pick up the phone and call them. Everybody gives out their birthday. Yeah, you don't need the
So
year. Yeah.
You've been on my mind is a true statement because I just looked at your name and now you're on my mind,
Mhm.
Some people get hung up on, "Well, I don't wanna be artificial." Well, what's more genuine than, "I just thought of you, so I'm checking in." We've all had that moment when we heard somebody we know pass and we think, "God, I thought about calling that person.
Yeah.
I wish I woulda done it." If for no other reason, do it for that reason. Have no regrets. I'm a big one to live without regret. The
Yeah.
other thing is exactly what you're saying, in an ideal world, everyone in our database, we would have the big 3 for phone number, email address, physical mailing address. so that we can do all the good things we want to do with any sort of follow-up. Handwritten notes we can do, um, monthly e-newsletter we can do, and just this check-in we can do. So those three minimum, it's real easy also to call and say, Kim, it's past the first of the year and I made a decision for 2023. I was going to be more effective with marketing and communications. And I see I don't have an email address for you.
Mm,
What's
that's
the
a good
best
one.
email address?
Yep.
You're missing the phone number? Then get on direct messenger on Facebook and say, I just realized I don't have a current phone number for you. What's the best number? Not, can I get your number? So there's a switch there. We're not asking yes, no
Mhm,
questions. What's the best mailing address to use for you now? For all you know, these
mhm.
people have moved. Some of my clients, I have a lady, amazing agent, has built an incredible business, um, has a great team. She was 30 years in the business, never called a single past client. They were
Wow.
coming to her because they were seeing her market. She had never gone outbound. And I said, let me guarantee you something. None of your past clients are sitting at home saying, I can't believe Kim hasn't called me. Nobody's waiting for their realtor to call. That's
No.
not on their radar. So get over that. So we can go into a bunch of other what to says, but if you just start with those two and you're calling 4 times a year, you've already got 3 out of the 4 because you can repeat the just thinking about you at the 6-month mark. So that if I call the first time and say, Kim, you're just on my mind, I was thinking about you. And I call the second time, hey, I just realized I don't have an updated email address for you. And then I call
Mhm.
again and say, Kim, you're on my mind again, just checking in. Then I've only got one more excuse or reason or justification to get on the phone. And what could that be? If you're having a client appreciation event, you're calling about
Mhm.
Pi Day, you're calling to invite them to the movie theater. It could be a whole host of things. You could call on their home anniversary. Here's a fabulous one I want everybody to incorporate. You own a date nobody else in any industry or in their family owns, and that is the day they bought their house.
Yeah.
So why not be that person who says, you're not going to, can you believe it's been 3 years, Kim? Since you guys moved into that house on Maple Street? Just thinking about
Crazy.
you. Happy home anniversary. And they'll giggle and you'll giggle, and then you'll say, "What's new since the last time we talked?"
Mhm.
Real simple.
Yep. Very natural. It's a very natural conversation once you get comfortable with yourself. And, and I do have clients that say, I can't do it. And I'm like, write it down. Write it down. And when you get on the phone, ask them, you might have 3 points, and that you need to get out of that conversation. And one is, how are you doing? Number two, I need an email. It could be anything you want it to be, but if you're that person that needs a little prompting, then put a little cheat sheet in front of you so you don't get distracted or go, blank, you know.
And
And
I'll give
then
you
what
other stuff. You can go buy
Mhm.
tickets. They could be sporting events, music events, movies, home and garden show. Some of those have tickets. Parade of Lights. We do a fundraiser locally for the Hour Center, which is an outreach organization, and they do a Christmas tour every year. You buy tickets to do it, where you get to actually go through people's highly decorated houses and just enjoy the
Mhm.
holidays. You can buy those tickets, and then inside of 48 hours of when they need to be used, you just get on the phone and you start calling people,
Yeah,
your past clients in your sphere, and saying, "Hey, can you use these tickets? It's first come, first serve. Call me back if you want them." Click, call the next person. Click, call the next person. You'll probably have to call 15 to 20 people before you give away the tickets.
right.
So it could be for anything. If I'm Brad Korn in Kansas City, maybe I've got season tickets to the Chiefs, and he won't want to give them away right now because they're world champions. But you know, if you're a Denver Broncos season ticket
Yeah.
holder, I'm sure you could call about 40 people before you give the
Mhm.
tickets away. So um, don't let not knowing what to say be the reason you don't do this. We can make up
Right.
reasons all day. Um,
Yep.
and then that just leads us to the last one, which is the fear of rejection. And you've already touched on this, and I did too. What do you really think that your past clients are sitting at home pining away because you didn't call them. They're not even thinking
Mhm.
about you. So, and you're not calling. I do not advocate calling with the, "Who do you know? Who's the next person you know
Yeah,
that's gonna sell in 6 months?" That will organically show up when the need is there.
right.
So, if you show up, the business will show up. The problem is you're not showing up. So, you really need to ask yourselves, I'm talking directly to you guys, viewers, why don't you call?
Mhm.
What's getting in the way? Is it not knowing what
100%.
to say? Is it you don't know who to call? Is it fear of
Mhm.
rejection? Well, you've got all your answers now. So the only thing stopping you is you.
That's true. And, I will go back and tell people or agents that if you have a database, but it's not organized. So you're sitting there going, well, it's all in one. Take the time to break down your database by groups, put those past clients in their own special group. But then
Mhm.
out of that group of past clients, who are the past clients that have been referring you and put them in another group? Because if they're already referring you, it's not gonna take a whole lot for them to keep on. They just need to be interacting with you. And I'm hoping that when somebody does get a referral, they're showing that person that referred them a thank you in some way. And then, that way, because the way I look at it is when you do everything that you just said and you have an organized database, then you know what they're getting throughout the year on top of the phone calls. So it's like I always say at least make 4 phone calls a year, one each quarter, but also you've got to send information. You need to probably send them a newsletter, maybe the market stats, anything
They need to
else.
see you they need to see you twice a month and they need to hear from you
Mhm.
quarterly.
Yes.
So an e-newsletter goes out every month and then you do a blast email in the alternating times on that month. Pick the weird holidays that mean something
Yeah.
to you. I'm a jigsaw puzzle junkie, so I might pick National Jigsaw Puzzle Day and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, this is one of my favorite days. Hope you take a moment to just pause and have quality time with your family, whatever you want to say." There are so many different ways. If you're doing client appreciation, if you are if you have your marketing plan laid out so that you've got just sold postcards going out or quarterly market updates going out, you can lay all this out ahead of time.
Mhm.
The Millionaire Real Estate Agent book talks about 33 touches and it's since been modified to say 36. And that sounds like a lot, but it's really not.
No.
So just the stuff we already talked about, Kim. If I'm sending a monthly e-newsletter, that's 12 touches. If I'm calling
Mhm.
them 4 times a year, that's another 4. Now we're up to 16. We're halfway there. If I send a fun blast email every month on my weird holiday, that's another 12. I'm up to 28. And
Right.
if I do one client appreciation event, just one, the event itself, the initial save the date, the follow-up phone call, if they haven't RSVP'd, and then a touch afterwards, either you're following up with a picture, a handwritten note, or whatever you're following up with. One client appreciation event can create 5 or more touches for you.
Right.
So, hey, we're at 33 already and we didn't try very hard. So now I have a second client appreciation event. Now I'm
Mhm.
over the 36. It it takes planning, and that's where people fall down,
Exactly.
just hoping it will happen, and that's
Mhm.
not how people get successful in this business, as you
No,
know.
and you talking about planning, I always print out like, if I'm working with you as a client and I'm gonna print out 12 months, January through December, and then I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna put on there what needs to happen each month and for that agent to do or for us to do for that agent. And then that way they know what they need to do, but they have us prompting them to do it, so they can't say, oh, I forgot or I got busy. No, you didn't, So it's called accountability. But, if agents don't have someone to hold them for accountability, then they need to hold themselves. You have a cell phone, put the reminder in there, put what you need to do so that you don't get distracted in this busy world that we live in. So to me, this is huge because I preach this constantly. So I'm like, get your database organized, learn how to talk to your clients. I talked to an agent, oh gosh, was it last year, like in October, and he was struggling. And he said, I just don't know what I'm doing wrong. And I said, well, what are you doing? And he said, I make 25 calls a day and, blah, blah, blah. And I said, who are you calling? And he said, um, well, I'm just going through the phone. And I said, okay. And I said, but you need to reach out to past clients. Well, I don't have any. Well, what do you mean you don't have any? Well, I don't have any past clients. I mean, I've been only in business for 3 years. So who do I call? I mean, those are my past clients. And I sold like 3 listings a year. Keep calling them. Keep calling them. Just keep picking up the phone, take them to lunch, take them to coffee. You have such a small number that you can do that, so you can show them a little extra effort where you have the agent over here with 500. So it doesn't matter to me what season you're in your business. You always have past clients, people they may not have bought through you because you're so new, but there are people and you just have to reach out to them. Hey, I hope you're enjoying today's podcast. And I just want to take a minute and remind you that you need to get your holiday cards ready so that you can have them in the mail by December 1st. There is a lot of planning that goes into making sure that you get your holiday cards out. So I want you to know that we do offer a special service to help you address your holiday cards and get them in the mail on time. This package was designed specifically for the real estate agent. So we want you to stay top of mind and we want you to stand out with your clients. So this is an opportunity that if you do not have the time to do the holiday cards, then just reach out to us and let's have a conversation. So we have created for you a Christmas and New Year holiday card template. It's a ready-to-post social media graphics, a step-by-step holiday marketing checklist, and a client tracker to stay organized, and those fun pop-by ideas with graphics to boost your client connections. So that way you're not scrambling for last-minute ideas or designs. We've done it all for you. So all you have to do if you want to do it on your own is open up Canva and just put in your branding and then they're ready to go. But if you want us to do it, we're happy to help. So let's stay connected with your past clients, your leads, your sphere during the holiday season. This is a great opportunity to tell everybody you know how much you appreciate them, especially your past clients. So let's make this holiday marketing simple, memorable, and done. So visit Kim Hughes, reach out. We're happy to have a conversation with you to help you get this done. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the Real Estate Masters Guild. Tell us about that, what it does, what you have to offer the agent.
Well, Real Estate Masters Guild is actually folding into Star Power. That was
Okay.
my own standalone organization. All my private coaching clients have been under that umbrella. All the live events now are going through Star Power, and eventually, all of my coaching clients will go under that umbrella as well.
Okay.
So, um, Real Estate Masters Guild was a labor of love to create a place for people to land after Star Power was gone, and
Mhm.
just wonderful, wonderful following of people that came along and created a family there. And fortunately,
Yes.
that family is very comfortably migrating into Star Power.
Yeah. Well, then let's talk about Star Power. What's going on with Star Power? What do you have to offer these
How much
agents?
time do you have, Kim?
Well, I have all the time because I love talking to you and talking about Star Power because Star Power, it was a big deal, in its day. And I see it being even bigger now because of all the social media just alone can take it, and I know you have a Facebook group because I'm in it. I see what's going on and I think that's great. So tell us a little bit about what you're going to offer agents who don't know anything about Star Power.
So I like to start here. Star Power is best practices from best agents, brand neutral in an openly sharing environment. So one of the things that I fell in love with Star Power over back in the mid 90s was I could walk right up to these top producers and have a conversation, and they would share with me everything. I'd say,
Mhm.
"Well, how are you doing that?" I have a questioning mind. I wanna know how things work. It's the C part of my personality for those of you who study DISC. Um,
Mhm.
and they would just spill their guts. I mean, they'd tell me everything, and I couldn't believe it, and that is the foundation of where Star Power started, and now I know people have, uh, countless sources where they can get education from about the real estate business. What I feel is truly different about Star Power is in those last 2 things I said. You can get best practices from best agents in a lot of places. In an openly sharing environment, and brand neutral, I think is key because, first of all, there are a lot of people who were with a major franchise and made a decision to go on their own. And one of the things that they missed that they lost was that franchise's um, annual conventions and training
Right.
infrastructure. And so for independents, it's a great place to come to replace what they lost. For people who are in those structures, in those wonderful organizations, they come to Star Power because they want to experience what's going on outside of that immediate
Yes.
parent organization, if you will. And the thing that one of the biggest reasons I did this, Kim, quite frankly, is because Star Power is my family. I grew up on Star Power. I was 24 years old when I went
Mm.
to when I went with Kathy to her interview, and then we went to NAR, and I got to go to the Star Power booth and meet some of the stars. And then the very first star retreat was that December in Chicago. I found my people. That's how I would say
Mhm.
it. And so being given the opportunity to come in at this level, and relaunch it and reintroduce people to the concept of what it is and do it in today's platform with the availing technologies that we have and the interactivity that we have access to. You know, technology is a double-edged sword. It gives
Mhm.
us incredible access to information, and it can also create a complete disconnect from the
Right.
humanity of it. And so, our first conference last summer, it was for some of us, it was like coming home. It's like the family reunion. And then for the new people to just be scooped up in this environment of happiness and love. And I'm not shy about saying that. You know, our high Ds are
Mhm.
probably cringing right now. But it's a place where people celebrate your success. You know why they boil two crabs in a pot, Kim?
Mm. What?
Because they'll hold each other in and they'll die together.
Mhm.
And I think that's what's happening to a lot of people in their local markets as they get more successful. The crabs are holding them in the pot, and so they need to get out of that pot and go be around other, um, pot leavers, um,
Like-minded.
other like-minded people who are really excited for you to be successful, and
Yeah.
that's what I always loved about Star Power, and that's what we want to foster going forward. And so, we did bring along all of the original stars. We call them the OGs, the
What's an
original
OG? Oh,
original
okay.
great.
Okay.
And while we're interviewing brand new stars to usher in the new era of Star Power, we're also every month revisiting one of the stars that's still very active and successful in the business. So you're getting these veterans who have these amazing
And
uh, stories to tell and experiences to share, along with the new age of realtors. And the
mhm.
combination of the two is just absolutely powerful. So that's what we would call our Star Power Club is our monthly interview series. And it's so much more, you remember back in the day, Kim, when it was you got a cassette tape in the mail
Yep.
and a paper newsletter. And then cassettes became CDs. And we're blessed now that we can take that all digital, and it has created some really cool things. First of all, the newsletter, which was this little 8-page dealio back in the day, is now 20 full pages. It's all
Wow.
online. And when you're looking at Rob Levy's postcard, you can actually click through and see the whole postcard, zoom in on the copy, see exactly
Mm.
what's on it. Instead of just seeing this little thumbnail picture of it, you get the postcard. They're all video interviews now. They were audio only before. And so you actually get to see the person's body language in addition to hearing their story. And right now we're releasing 3 interviews every month. So 3 for
Wow,
the
that's a
price of
lot.
1.
Yeah.
We wanted to get a revisit in every month, and then we wanted to build a critical mass of new stars. So we're doing 2 a month. We'll continue to do that through this year. Haven't decided yet what 2024 is gonna look like. But right now, you're getting all that. And then also, we're going back and recapturing all of the original interviews, and those are being 1 year at a time converted to digital and uploaded into the club.
Well, that
On
right
top
there
of
is
that,
amazing.
oh, it's a gold mine. Every month we're doing it what's called a speakeasy, and so we have a live Zoom for an hour every month. We have one of the stars come in or more, and participate, and it's interactive. There's typically a topic driving that, but people can ask about anything they wanna ask about. We just had Gina Mays Harris yesterday for
Oh,
February, and she did 50 ideas in 50 minutes, and man, she smoked it. It
wow.
was boom,
Wow.
boom, boom, do this, do this, do this, and it was amazing. So, that's all just the club, and that's the foundation of Star Power right there. Then we have an annual conference. The next one's in July in Denver. I know you and I talked about that.
Yep.
July 20th through the 22nd. So that's your opportunity to meet the stars face to face, interact with other like-minded people, cover some great content. We are in the process of securing a couple of really cool things I hope are gonna pan out that I'm excited about. But, all the stuff that people are dealing with right now, how do I successfully integrate video so that it generates leads for my business? We can all shoot video, but if it's not getting you more business,
Mhm.
you're wasting time. Um, the concept of a mastermind, we have a long running group that's been around for over a decade and a group that just started a year ago. And we're going to have the two talk about the value of getting into a mastermind group and how they set it up and, all the logistics so that people, if they want to go start their own mastermind group, can learn from that. We have a couple of our stars who are phenomenal shrewd investors in real estate, and they're going to
Mhm.
spill the beans on everything they do to make sure that they pick the good investments and how do they decide what they hold and what they go ahead and sell and all that kind of good stuff. So, uh, everything that people need. It's kind of like the Olympics of real estate
Right.
training. You can get a
That's
taste of this
true.
and a taste of that. And then the next level beyond that, we just launched 2 university programs. There will be more, but just right now, the listing and the buyer universities are the ones that are most in demand. So those are the first 2 we're launching.
Mhm.
And then we have a coaching division. We have 9 coaches right now available. A couple of them are master coaches, and the rest of them are working with people. When I say master coaches, I mean they're focusing on mastery in a certain area. So we have Jana Caudill's a good example. She focuses primarily on luxury agents and 7-figure teams. So,
Okay.
um, but we have a whole stable of amazing coaches who work with people, whether they're solo agents or small teams or big teams, doesn't matter. We meet the client where they're at. We help them get clear on what they want. We help them design the plan to get there, and then we hold them
Mhm.
accountable and cheerlead and advocate, along the way. That's our coaching
Wow.
model. It's a little different from what other people do. So,
Yeah. Well, and the one
yes,
thing I
yes,
will
ask the
say.
question, so now I just
No, and I
go.
think that's great because, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Star Power, you know that, and a huge fan of you. So, I mean, to me, I'm like, this is if you're listening to this podcast and you don't know what Star Power is, just go to is it starpower.com?
Yep.
Yeah, and you'll learn more there, and then you can reach out to, and talk to, I guess, anybody, talk to you and as well, and get more information. But the one thing I will say about Star Power is that this is a group of agents that have no ego. They are there to help each other. And I think what I have seen over the years, to me, that is a huge thing because you're so worried about your competition and you're so worried about, oh, who's going to get that listing? Oh, so and so is going to beat me out. And you've got a kind of a cutthroat market going on. And I'm not going to say this in all markets, but there's a lot of markets that agents are very closed. They don't talk about their business. They don't talk about anything because they don't want people, copying them per se. But
Yeah.
when you go to Star Power, it's like you just talk to anybody and they'll tell you whatever works for them, what doesn't work for them. They will, guide you. They will follow up with you. I mean, it's amazing the relationships that can be made. I mean, a lot of my old relationships have come from Star Power. So, I mean, I still talk to people that I met 2003, and I was scared to death. Let me just say that. But, these people are just really good people and they have helped themselves to be where they are. So now they're also ready to help those others that are ready to take that step forward and become as successful. So that's what I will say about Star Power.
You know what, Kim, there's one other thing there that just occurred to me, and that is, yes, you're coming because all these stars are successful in sharing their strategies, but what I also appreciate is how much they value hearing what other people are doing to be
Yeah.
successful.
Mhm.
So, not only are you coming to get somebody else's great tips, but what you have to share is valued, and they
As
will
much.
listen.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes, and so, so I'm just gonna highly recommend that if you don't do anything else for 2023 is to look at Star Power because it will help you grow your business in the direction that you wanna take it, because you have not just the people at Star Power, but you have all the community of Star Power, and I think that's phenomenal, and so,
2,700 people in our Facebook group.
how many?
2,700.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? I
Good
mean, if they just tapped
sharing,
into
active.
that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's crazy some of the things that I think about, and I'm like, I don't know that there is another organization in the real estate world that offers what y'all are doing. And so I think that's very, forward thinking.
Mhm.
So again, I'm going to put it out there that if you have not heard about Star Power or you've heard about it, but you're not real sure what it is, it's highly recommended that you go check them out. And then,
Thank
whatever they can do for you, I'm sure they will work out a special plan. So let's talk a little bit about your foundation and tell us how that all came about because this is pretty amazing to me. And I'm like, man, I need to get in shape. And so I can go have that experience. So share with us a little bit about that and then how people can tap into that foundation to maybe help out, learn more about it. It may even inspire somebody to open up their own foundation. Yeah.
Well, you don't know the can of worms you may have just opened up. This is my why, and a lot of people struggle with finding what's your reason for being on this earth. Um, I am a person of faith, and
Hmm.
um, I still has struggled for a long time. I knew I wanted to go to Africa since I was about 6 years old. I had no idea why. I think part of it was, frankly, when I was growing up, our vacation was to go to my grandparents outside of St. Louis. We didn't have the money or the inclination to like take big family trips and stuff. So our big vacation was we would drive the 4 hours to St. Louis, and my grandparents would take us to the zoo because it was free admission. I think it still is. I think it's one of the few zoos in the nation that is that way. Um, and I fell in love with all things Africa, but particularly the lions. And I've been fascinated with lions my whole life. So about a decade ago, one of my friends, her aunt, started a company destined to travel, and she started taking people to Africa, and they would go and visit a children's home, an orphanage, and then they'd go on safari. And I thought, well, that's really cool, but the German in me was like, oh, it's not really that practical, and I can't really justify the expense, blah blah blah. And then my best friend wandered into the gym one day. This was about 6 or 7 years ago, and she said, "I decided I wanna climb Mount Kilimanjaro before I turn 55. Will you go with me?" And you have to understand my best friend Donna, um, she's one of those people that everyone should have in their life. When they ask, you just say yes, and then you figure it out
Mm.
later. And it was definitely a case of that. I kinda backpedaled and said, "Hold on a second. Now that I said yes, that's in Africa. Okay. How tall is that mountain? 19,341 feet. Okay, that's really freaking tall. Um, and how much time do I have to prepare for this? Like, when are you turning 55?" So, long story short, we decided to combine this visit the children's home and go on safari with climbing Kilimanjaro. And I had been toying with this idea, Kim, for a number of years. I wanted to create this three-legged stool model where you do um, personal or professional development, philanthropy, and then recreation or adventure. And I thought, well, this is like the ultimate test of this model, to go do this. And there ended up being 6 of us who went up Kilimanjaro. 2 of the gals had to go back. The other 4 of us stayed. And other people came in to do the children's home and the safari. And so it was my aha moment that that model had some appeal. And actually, we're going to be rolling out a division of Star Power called Beyond, which is structured for the purpose of getting people beyond just being a realtor. And that's a call for another day. There's
Yeah,
a
that
lot.
sounds interesting.
I do a lot. I help a lot of people with business transitions and succession planning. And where a lot of people get stuck is they don't know what their identity is,
Yes.
if not a real estate agent. And so you're going to be unlikely to be successful in your business transition if you don't have a why beyond real estate. And so that's where the word beyond came from. And like I said, we could talk a whole bunch more about that. So anyway, we're on the mountain. Um, I had some definite God moments when I was on the mountain. I hope it's okay to say that. Um,
Absolutely.
I'll give you 2 specific instances. There was a moment when you're very high up in altitude, you get short of breath. And we were all taking, we had medication and supplements and all that. But there was a moment when I just started feeling a little bit of anxiety. And I have a history of panic attacks. So I wanted to get that under control. And I just said, God, I know if I could just take a deep breath right now, I would release my diaphragm, I'd reset, and I'd be okay. And instantly, Kim, I the air just rushed into my lungs and I was able to take this beautiful deep full breath. And that's exactly how you release a panic attack because it's a physiological tightening of your diaphragm.
Mhm.
Um, and then there was another point when I was starting to get hot, but it was really cold out. In fact, one night, I think when we were at base camp at 15,000, it was 2 degrees below zero overnight. And when you're exerting yourself, of course, then you start sweating. And so I was hot, but I knew if I took my jacket off, that was a really bad idea. And so I just said, God, if you could just send a gentle breeze right now, because the air is still, there is nothing moving. And instantaneously, for 10, this felt like 10 minutes, just this gentle breeze started blowing across.
Mm.
And so I had some really beautiful moments like that on the mountain. The other was the guys that were in our crew, they were the reason we were successful
Mm.
because they did everything above and beyond to make sure that we were okay. My best friend got altitude sickness at the summit, and she had to run back down the mountain. And then one of the girls had to turn back on day 3. She didn't go, so there were 5 of us. So my best friend had to be run back down the mountain with one of our assistant guides, um, and then our other assistant guide was helping one of our stars, Pam Marion, who climbed the mountain.
Mm.
And then the other 2 gals kind of fell in step behind them. Diane, one of the gals, is a skier, and coming off the summit, you're on 6 inches of scree and ash, and so the footing is unstable. Well, she loved it because it was like fresh powder, and so she literally had her
Ah.
hiking and was sashaying down the mountain. So pretty soon I realized I'm alone. I'm with I'm not alone. I've got Respicious, the head guide, and Grace and the medic are with me. So I'm never alone, we're never alone. Uh,
Right.
but I started feeling very despondent because my people were gone and these guys were miraculous. And I got off the mountain, and I realized there were these key guys that they had done so much to make sure that we summited, and it didn't feel like enough to just say thank you and tip them and be on our way. And so I
Right.
started asking questions, and I found out that what they're all trying to do is to save enough money that they can send their kids to private school so that they can be taught English and taught in English. At the time, it was $600. And I'm like, seriously? What does that
That's all?
cover? Tuition, uniforms, books, school supplies,
Mm.
everything. 2 hot meals a day. Like, how can I not help a kid if that's the case? And so I picked the one guy who'd been very instrumental in some specific things for me being successful. And when my husband came for the safari, I said, "Can we do that? Here's the story. Can we do this?" And he, same reaction I had. That's, yeah, heck yeah. So we were just going to help the one girl. And then I told the story to my friend, Anne, and she came to me the next day with a check and said, "Why don't you help his other daughter go too?"
Aw.
And I went, "Oh, okay, God, now I get it. This is why you've been trying to get me to Africa
Yeah.
since I was 6 years old. I'm supposed to help these kiddos." And so that's how the foundation started, and we started it right at the beginning of COVID. And I
Mm.
think that was actually a blessing for a couple of reasons. Number 1, because I think there were a lot of people twiddling their thumbs in our federal government, and so we had a 501(c)(3) done in 60 days, which is unheard of. Um, but also because when COVID hit, tourism shut down, and Tanzania was, all my brothers over there were out of work. Nobody's
Yeah.
climbing the mountain. Nobody's coming to do tourism. And so they found themselves in a very desperate situation, and even those who had scrimped and saved to get their kids to school now were finding themselves in a very desperate situation. So just God's perfect timing on all of it,
That
to
gives me
think about.
chill bumps. Literally, I have chill bumps.
I could cry about it,
Oh,
and you know what? I'm so blessed to have the network that I do with, the family that I built in Star Power. I started sharing the story, and, um we set a goal the first year originally to get 8 kids sponsored, and we did 16. And so
wow.
the next year, 2021, I said, "Well," and, we have a small board. There are 5 of us now. At the time, there were 4, and I said, "What if, since it's 2021, we try to get 21 more kids sponsored in 2021?" And they're like, "Oh, that would be so cool. It feels ambitious, but let's try." And we hit it, and we actually beat it. And then last year, 2022, we did 22 and 22, and we achieved that goal. So we currently have 62 kiddos sponsored, and what that means is the person who's sponsoring them stays with them through the
Sure.
duration of their
Yeah.
schooling till they finish secondary education. And I go twice a year, and, I was just there in December, got to see most of the families and the kids who are sponsored. Some of them live too far away from where we were at to make the trip. We did have one family that came from 9 hours away, um,
Oh,
and
wow.
which is
Just
also
to
a
say
hardship,
thank
right?
you. Mhm.
Just to be able to, yeah, experience that community. So I like to think that the love and energy that I learned in Star Power has transferred into this, wonderful group of people. So we're continuing to focus on, um, expenses have gone way up. So a sponsorship is now 900 a year, which is $75 a month. Anybody who's interested in doing that could go to Kilimanjaro Kids, which ends with a Z, kilimanjarokids.com, and you can sign up to sponsor annually or sponsor monthly, whatever works better for how you keep your budget. And if you just want to do a one-time donation, we added last year, this will blow your mind. Health insurance for these kiddos is $25 a year.
Wow. A
A
year.
year,
A year.
$25.
Put me
Uh,
down. I'll do that. Oh
so
my
when
gosh.
I found this out, I came back to the gals on the board, the people on the board, and I said, "Guys, this seems like a no-brainer,
Mhm.
that we do this." And we had fortunately had enough one-time donations that had come in that we were able to give all of the kids health insurance into this school year, and then we raised the, sponsorship fees at the beginning of the year, so all
Mm,
kids going forward will have that, and the other thing God put on me, was that we need to build 2 schools where the families are located are near, 2 towns that are 2 hours apart. So
yeah.
it's not feasible to get them all in one place, but the first school will be built in Moshi, in the area of a town called Moshi, because we have more families close to that town than Arusha, which is the other town, and as God would have it, when I was there in December, it just was a fluke thing that there's, a gentleman who's looking to sell off, some land, that already has a fruit orchard on it. I'm very big into the permaculture farming, and that's one of the things one of the
Mhm.
dads is doing, while they're trying to reestablish their time on the mountain is he's growing food for everyone around him. So the schools will be built with permaculture farms, and so that's on the horizon. We'll do a capital campaign for that, which brings me to, if you really wanna get in shape, we're gonna go back and do Kilimanjaro again in 2025 to raise awareness for the foundation, so I'm very
Wow.
I have
That
half a dozen people that have already committed to make the climb with me, and we'd welcome more.
that's awesome. I think that's just so awesome. So, okay, we gave them the website. Um, to sponsor a kid is 900 to go to school, $25 a year for health insurance. I mean, good lord, can you
And
imagine?
that 900 includes the health insurance for someone
Oh,
who's
does it?
interested in sponsoring. Yeah, it's
Okay.
rolled in. So,
Yeah.
um,
So if
but
any of our audience is listening and wants to, if this has impacted you in any way to help, then definitely, talk to Amy about this and check out the website because I think it's phenomenal. I mean, anything we can do to help other people, you know, um, I do. And I'm like constantly looking at, I know not everybody can do the 900, but I
yeah,
mean, if 5 people got together and said, "Okay, let's take 900 divided by 5, this is what it's gonna be." What a great thing,
yeah,
I always say that if you help somebody else, it will come back to you, but don't do it for that reason, right?
right.
Do it for the right reason, and, gosh, if anybody wants to climb that mountain, how many feet? 19,000 and how much?
19,341.
Yeah, so I won't be on that trip, but we will definitely make sure people know about that trip.
You can come
I
join me
mean,
for the safari afterwards.
I have my oldest son, this is kind of off topic. He is very athletic. He played rugby for years in college, and then after college, he was on a team. I mean, it was like it was an obsession. And then he's now a little bit older. He's got a couple of kids. Got to think about that. And so he now does the Ironman triathlons, and he's done two. And then he does little things around. Like he'll do little mini triathlons and stuff like that. And it's a piece of cake for him, where you see some of these people coming across the line going, "Oh my god, oh my god." Oh, he's coming across the line like, "Okay, what's next?" He would be the one that would go with you to Africa to do that.
Why not? Let's
You
go.
know? I'll
I'll
sit at the
call
bottom of the
out,
mountain.
Melissa Godwin said she's gonna go, so I'm calling her out live and,
Oh, okay.
hoping
I'll
Don
sit at the
Payne
bottom
Jr.
and cheer y'all on. How about that?
There you go. You can be holding my juicy, my juice when I come
There
back
you
to the
go.
house.
Go, "Yay, yay me." I'm good at a cheerleader. So, okay, well, let's wrap this up and let everybody understand that, we are going to give you 3 tips. I mean, we gave you 3 tips immediately off the bat. So to kind of just recap, I made a couple of notes that if you wanna go back and listen to this is a great podcast. A lot of information, a lot of exciting things for the industry for this year and to go forward. So just to kind of do a little recap on here, call your past clients, call your SOIs, break down your database. You know, if you what you've made a comment that if you talk to them how many times a year? 4?
Once a quarter.
Yeah, once a quarter. That doesn't mean to just call them. That means on top of everything else you're doing. So, you
Mhm.
know, what we would like to see, and I think Amy and I both agree, is, you know, make that phone call every quarter. Send them your monthly newsletter, send them market stats, follow them on their social media outlets, understand what's going on. I think that's very important that if you follow a past client, and that's great. But if you're not engaged with that past client, you need to be engaged. Meaning just check them once a week, if nothing else, just to see what's going on in their life and then make a comment about it. Like one of the things that we do for the clients is if we see something like, let's say we went on Amy's Facebook and we saw she, you know, just finished climbing this mountain, we would send her, you know, a picture that we would see on her Facebook, and we would take that and put it on a little card and then mail it to her.
Thank you so
You
much
know,
for
these are
tuning
just
in. And if
little
you know
things that you can
someone,
do
and
that
I
can
bet
just
you
mean
do,
so
who would
much to
appreciate this
somebody.
podcast,
And
please share
then,
it
you know,
with
of course,
them.
I'm a
As a
big
reminder,
advocate
this
about,
podcast
you
can
know,
be
honoring
delivered directly to
birthdays,
your favorite
home
device
anniversaries.
by using the
So, I mean,
subscribe
right there
links
you
you
have a
can
whole slew
find
of
in the
things
show
that you
notes
could be
below
doing to stay
or
in touch
over
with your
at
past clients. And I believe me, that will come back to you.
Remember,
And then take your
it
past
takes as
clients
much
and
energy
break
to
them
wish
down into
as
who
it does to
refers
plan.
and who's
Have a great
not,
day.
so you can focus on what that needs to be done to keep that relationship going in that area. Do you agree with that?
Of course.
All right. So, okay, so we're going to wrap this up. And so I'm just going to remind everybody, if you are interested in the Star Power organization, it's starpower.com. If you are interested in her foundation, is it on the website? The
Yeah,
link to the web? Okay.
KilimanjaroKids.com.
Yep, with the Z, KIDZ, right?
Z.
And then anything else that we can help y'all with, all you have to do is just send us an email. Amy, what's the best way somebody can reach you
Amy at
directly?
starpower.com.
Okay.
We try
And
to
then, of
keep it
course,
simple.
very simple. Yep. And, you know, just stay tuned and then we'll have Amy back because we have a lot of stuff going on with her. This is exciting. And,
Thank you for having me.
well, you know, I'm a big supporter of you and Star Power and all the agents that are in Star Power. I just think it's great. So, anyway,
Thank
so we'll
you.
wrap it up with a big thank you. And if there's anything we can do for you, you let me know. I love you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you know someone, and I bet you do, who would appreciate this podcast, please share it with them. As a reminder, this podcast can be delivered directly to your favorite device by using the subscribe links you can find in the show notes below or over at unstoppablerealestateagents.com. Remember, it takes as much energy to wish as it does to plan. Have a great day.